Hey, everybody, it's Jody Franklin. So excited today to have two of my buddies with me, longtime friends and colleagues of mine, Lisa Jackson, who is a nurse, and Moira Lavielle, who is a mental health professional. And they're going to give us their biggest secrets to the success of their practices. So this is going to be time well spent. And I know you guys are going to get so many great pearls from this webinar today. So definitely stay with me till the end. And I will also be providing you with a freebie at the end that I'm going to tell you about. We're not selling anything today, but it's just something for staying with us to the end. So it looks like Alessandra is here from Hawaii, a functional nurse practitioner or family nurse practitioner. Thanks for joining us. If you all want to put who you are in the chat below, that would be great. And we can get started. So I'd like to start out, Lisa, if you could just introduce yourself really quickly, give us a quick background of who you are and about your practice.
Okay, so I'm a retired registered nurse, and I had actually left healthcare because of the revolving door syndrome of treating every ill with a pill until my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, the same cancer that took a 19-year-old boyfriend and my mother-in-law, and 35 years later, they wanted to use the same chemo. So we went to an integrative program. We had miraculous results, and that was kind of the beginning of my journey. And I'm a mother of 4 adult children and 2 grandchildren, and my practice, Jody and I do a Vanishing Vitiligo group where we treat people all over the world, support people all over the world with vitiligo and autoimmune disease. And I have a private practice where I do everything from people who want to find their optimal way to cancer. Lots of work with cancer too.
And so many amazing success stories, Lisa. It's such an honor to have you on today. Moira, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Jody, for inviting me. Thank you for bringing Lisa. Like, I feel great. Anytime I'm talking about functional medicine, I feel excited. My name is Moira Lavielle. I live on Nantucket. I have my practice, functional medicine, jointly with my practice as a licensed mental health counselor. I've been practicing full-time functional medicine for the past 3 years. And before it was too formal, wasn't too formal, so I'm not counting that before that. But practicing, it's been over 12 years now working as a mental health professional. I came as a professional functional medicine practitioner because what I was doing as a mental health counselor was not enough. So when I connected with Josie after I healed myself from my autoimmune disease, I decided to go to school to learn and then really be able to support other people. So I'm excited to be here, and I hope everybody that's here are feeling comfortable. They are there to get a treat, and if they have to make a decision whether they want to go explore more functional medicine, they can make the right choice, the right school.
And I know functional medicine training has made a huge difference in your practice, Moira, and Lisa as well. Lisa, let's start with you. Tell us some keys, not just the functional medicine, but what were some of the keys to building your practice?
So while I was building my practice, I was asked to build an integrative wellness program for a large hematology oncology group in Bethesda, Maryland. And that's actually when I met Tracy Harrison in the School of Applied Functional Medicine. And we saw 60 patients a day with 6 practitioners, and there was one of me. So I was so grateful for how Tracy opened my eyes, and I was teaching things that none of the nurse practitioners or the physicians had any clue on. And they would all come to me and say, why don't we know this? Why didn't we learn this? Or they would argue with me like, I don't believe anything. I don't believe in testing vitamin D. I don't believe in testing, RBC, magnesium, and zinc. And we had a major difference in those who followed the functional medicine principles and they could make it through the trials. We did a lot of the clinical trials for NIH. And those who we healed the gut, and we did the 5 hours of functional medicine, and we worked with them, sailed through the trials much better with less symptoms than those who did not. So that really was the beginning. And I've been with the school ever since. And I help facilitate some of the mastermind groups. And so I see a lot of the doctors and the nurses and the nurse practitioners that come through. And many have gone to other schools and certifications. But what sets this one apart is applied. You know, you can learn all the functional medicine stuff, but how do you apply it and make it practical and meet our patients and clients where they're at?
That made a huge difference for me too, is that, and we could talk a little more about that school. I'm curious if there were other keys and pearls that you have for what, you know, eventually you decided to go on your own with a practice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And what would you say was great for building up your practice? Like, what would you say really helped with that, besides obviously going into functional medicine itself?
Right. So I had been married to a physician. I was a nurse in the community. And there wasn't anyone I felt like I could really refer to, because I already knew more and could help my patients in a better way than my referral. So I started a Wellness Inspired Network group. I started a networking group just to, so we could know, like, and meet each other. And that group became, we ran our first summit together. This was over a decade ago when we had heard of summits, but it was a way of, collaborating, feeling like you're not all alone, because we're all trailblazers, right? We're doing things that no one else is doing. We're healing chronic disease that hasn't been done before. So finding peers to work with and partner with and collaborate with was a big one. I wrote a book and I started doing public speaking. I spoke for Weston Price. I spoke at the local, you know, whoever asked me, I would speak, the local health food store, Whole Foods. I would do cooking demos, and I met quite a few successful, really fascinating other people. The Functional Forum I joined, I ran the local Functional Forum group. I met Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We both spoke on one of the Functional Forum meetings in New York City. Just putting yourself out there, going to conferences, not feeling like we have to do it all by ourselves, because none of us have all the answers. So finding others to collaborate with, I think, was really key. And actually, a mentor said to me once, because you start your own business and you're always fearful and worried. Can I do it? Am I going to get clients? You know, all the fear, especially from going from, I had a corporate job where I made really big money between nursing and this job, and I gave that up to do this. And I was doing this because of my passion and my love, not that I make money, but I need to live. I still need to support myself. So I could talk forever.
No, it's okay. That's great. I love how you got out in the community. Instead of sitting and saying, how am I going to do this? You just went ahead and set up these talks and get out there and do, network. And I remember I saw a segment with you on TV once too. You did a cooking demo on TV. I mean, so many things that you can do to bring people into you. And now you do one-on-ones as well as the group program, I know, with me as well. So that's been really good now. And you've been able to have really a booming practice with a lot of referrals from satisfied clients, et cetera, and patients.
Right. And I think that, so two things. One mentor said, there's no lack of need. And all we have to do is look around. There's no lack of need. So have confidence that they will come, and don't worry about that. And really the first 50 patients and clients you work on, it's going to take you 2 to 3 times as long to go down maybe and dig down and get to the root. But my whole practice has been word of mouth. And, you do one success leads to another. And it grew so fast that I stopped doing all my public speaking because I was kind of like this.
Right. You're almost afraid to do another. You're almost afraid to do another engagement, right? Because the more people come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. How about you, Moira? Tell us what kind of things kind of helped to build your practice. What were some of the keys?
First of all, to think about the key, I don't have really a lot of key that build my practice. It's the confidence of ACFM. I have to go straight to the point with you. Okay.
This is SAFM.
Yeah. SAFM. That's where the school I went through the whole program. I followed the step. I earned the confidence from Tracy and the collaboration and all the event that she did. That's where my whole training came from. After the training, I felt 100%. And I know you used to talk about this a lot when I get in touch with you. You said, you know what, Moira, I felt so confident. I know I can help people. I never dreamed to be there, but I know maybe at some point I would be able to help people. But after working in the mental health field for 10 years already, I was already 8-9 years in the working industry as a mental health professional. I knew what I was doing wasn't enough. So as I healed myself from my autoimmune disease, grave disease, hyperthyroid, that I was told I was not going to be ever a cure. I was asked for surgery and my doctor was not happy with me. I had to make a decision about my health and wellness journey. I did take the journey on my own and I said, I need to carry that over to other people. And I got in touch with you. You told me about the school. I subscribe and I register and I get the confidence. That was the key to my practice. I can't tell you that I did a lot of things. And then from there, once I earned the confidence, I developed, because there's one thing, through the School of Applied Functional Medicine, you learn to apply. And you don't learn to just theoretically, fantasize. It was encouragement to go out there and do the work. That's number one for me. And second, associate yourself with the right people that are in the field. There are events that I know Tracy has done. Those are boost me a lot, because when you go to those events, you start seeing practitioners that have really just started or that have been advanced, and also doctors and nurses that started to, and then this for me, give me a boost.
It's
Confidence
motivational.
that
Yeah.
I will be able to do it. I'm a speaker, so I travel all over the world to tell people about their health and journey, but it's from the School of Applied Functional Medicine that get me where I needed to be to earn the confidence. I said one time, remember, I sat down in prayer and I'm like, when this woman created this school, she was thinking just about me. I was so selfish about it. So I'm sorry, but I did a lot of things in the community. I speak in the library, but all of that came because I knew at that point, guess what? I don't worry. I spoke in hotel. I can help you reverse diseases because now I know what to do. That's the success of my practice. As Lisa mentioned, I never do one advertisement. The word of mouth carries over the past 3 years, where I move on from one price that was this to like this, and I have more demand that I can handle. So the confidence brings you the ability to do the work and bring you the right people as well to do the work for. And Tracy does a lot of work in terms of giving you the right people to work with you. We did training on and off with webinars and the ongoing stressing you to be good at what you do. Don't just be an other functional medicine practitioner. Be good at what you do and inspire health and wellness to other people.
Yeah. I mean, I remember speaking with you the first time about the school. You were asking me about it. And I feel honestly that this is the key to the success of my practice, 100%. And I have such confidence whenever somebody comes to me, I know I can help them no matter what it is that they come to me with, because you learn to go upstream and figure things out. And there's no handy dandy flip charts and like protocols and this and that. Sure, there's little protocols for certain things to get you going, but you learn how to really figure out who is this person and what are they struggling with and how can I help them. And I'm the same way. I mean, whenever I tell people about the school, I was always like, you have no idea, because so many people are going to other functional schools and they're all good schools out there. There are really good schools, but they get out and they say, okay, now how do I do this? And that's a tragedy in a way, because the thing about SAFM, is that they really teach you through case study, practice, how to do this work. And I can't believe the level of success all of us have had. I mean, I can believe it, but I know, Moira, you've raised your rates substantially. Lisa, you've raised your rates substantially. And not that it's all about money, but it's great to be able to have flexibility and freedom with your own practice and be able to charge a premium for your services because you have a skill set that frankly, very few people have, right? So how has it affected? I know I'm throwing you a curveball question here, but do either of you want to speak to that, how it's affected your livelihood, I guess?
Yeah, it took a little while for me to feel okay about raising my rates. But when you realize, to your point, we do things that they've been to so many other, most of my clients, one of my clients has 13 different doctors with 13 different diagnoses, and nobody put the puzzle pieces together and started with, and then teaching them how to make changes, meeting them where they're at and making changes. And it's priceless. It really is priceless. My husband keeps telling me I'm not charging enough for the transformation that we're able to do, where others have just not had that success.
Oh. Moira, are you comfortable mentioning it?
Of course, I know a lot of people that are here probably wondering, how did you go from 0 to 100? Because I feel right now, I have a practice of multiple six-figure because of my AFMC schooling. Now I'm in school pursuing a PhD and doctorate. However, my base foundation is AFMC. First, I started by putting in practice the information that I got. We have everything lined up. The way you do the protocols, the places you affiliated to suggest supplement, you need to affiliate with that. You need to know this process. And once you know these things and you have the knowledge, you know how to really support the patient with the blood panels, because it's a few steps, like telling you 1, 2, 3 of my practice. A patient come to my practice for functional medicine, I give them the process of the test sensitivity test, the labs, everything they need to do. I look at the protocol, look at the different lab with them, because we tend to do for them. No, we need to do with them. And then from there, once I have a good idea, I sit down energetically connecting with my patient to develop some recommendation. They follow the recommendation. They have a cleanse process they go through, which is recommended as well by Tracy. And then I go through this process, the supplement, and they go through this. And then I just educate them. And they feel very at a 99.99%. I have not one patient that has not had a successful story so far.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
I feel blessed because everything, the prices to raise the prices is based on the quality of services. Give enough value, you will have enough people to show up at your door. But little by little, I raise the prices because when I first started, I'm just telling you straightforward. When you just start, don't think you're going to just charge $5,000, $10,000. It doesn't work like that. You start slow, you start looking at the people you are serving, but you already have the confidence from your learning. Now you need to be comfortable in your price mindset work to know understanding. Do I have the right mindset to charge? Do I worth this amount of money first? And then you go slowly, build your practice, find people, connect, and just get the right association and build from bottom up. And then at that point, when you start, charging people a sustainable fee, you feel you're worth it because your education and your experience, but build it from bottom up. Have everything line up the way you are being taught right now, and you'll have very successful practice.
Yeah, that's a great pearl. And I will say I did the same thing where when I was first starting, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was just starting. This was in my very first, month or two at SAFM. They give you enough so that you could start. And I started and I charged very little, honestly. I was like, this was back, okay, 8 or 9 years ago, but I was like, even just $60 a session, which may be about double that nowadays with inflation and everything. But I did, after I had a certain number of clients, I raised my rates. And then for the new people, I would charge more. And then the next 2 months later, I would go up more. And even just my first semester, I think I quadrupled my rates just going through, charging a little more, because I was starting to get referrals from people that were happy with what I was doing and I was getting experience. So I would advise you all to do that. I mean, just if you don't have any private clients and you're in a private client, you're not in a managed care setting, just take people on and start working with them. Don't charge nothing. That is a huge mistake. And we're going to talk about mistakes in a minute and pitfalls or what we would have done differently. But I would say don't charge nothing, because you will not get compliance from those people that you're giving free advice to. And I made that mistake a few times. And I will never make that mistake again, even with, well, maybe my parents, but even with family members, donate the money to their favorite charity if you feel funny taking it, but have them have some skin in the game. What about you two, Lisa? What would you have done differently, or did you have something you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the chat here. Somebody wants to know practice Pearl. So I really have 4 that I'd like to share.
Yeah.
Have a combination of individual and group. You can easily get burned out really fast if all you're doing is individual coaching, which is what I did for the longest time. I even though I love public speaking, I was a little shy, and I'm still a little shy to put it out there to build a group. But groups, you can reach so many more people, and you can charge less so more people can afford you. And the profit and loss is better with it, often with a group. So you have a combination. 2, get support before you need it. Outsource or hire somebody before you think you need it, because it's very quickly you can easily get overwhelmed. And there's so much work out there and so much need that it's hard to get, to work on your business when you're in the business. I hired interns. I had interns from the Maryland University of Integrative Health who came, and they did some of my handouts. I took a lot of the handouts from SAFM. We customized them. We tweaked them for what we were doing. I hired people to help me with the editing of the book. Hire people. And I'm not naturally a good delegator, but you have to learn some of these skills if you're going to be on your own, or join a practice. Jody and I hire people for our groups and our individuals. So join someone else while you're building your practice. I worked 3 days a week, 3 12-hour days for the cancer clinic while I was building mine. So there's many combinations. And then the last thing I want to say is have multiple revenue streams. It's okay to, I recommend supplements, and I take a percentage, and I give a percentage to my clients, and to where you feel good about it, so that it's worth your time, and it's a win-win. Make sure everything you do is a win-win-win.
Definitely. And we have some talks in our group with Dr. Jeffrey Glad, if you want to find out more about selling supplements, and another talk with Chris Kresser recently. If you search their names in the Functional Medicine for Physicians, NPs, PAs, and Nurses group, you'll see my talks with them and how you can get accounts with these companies and make a really nice revenue with them. Those are great tips. I actually agree 100%. One of the things SAFM taught us is they do a clinical skills intersemester where they teach you how to structure group programs and things like that. And it's a great way to leverage yourself. And I know Lisa and I do a group program together, and we've hired other SAFM grads to help us facilitate this group, because it's big now. We've probably put 50, 60 people through our Vanishing Vitiligo program. And I'm doing another group program now. But it's a great way to get more people to be able to work with you, especially if you're charging high rates. And by including so many people, you're making better income in the long run. So it's a win-win. Plus they get a sense of community, right? And healing really happens in community. If you want to hear more about that, James Maskell and I did a talk in our group as well about, called Heal, and his book, Heal Community, is really good. And it talks about how outcomes are better when people are in groups. So we love doing that, and it's fun too. And then hiring, I agree. I hired a scribe. I hired I have a practice manager. I have somebody to help me with social media. I have my daughter helping me with some social media stuff. I mean, I have video people. We have someone in Vanishing Vitiligo who helps us with all the handouts and everything. I mean, it's just wonderful to have the support. And actually, my expenses are about 50% of what I bring in, which sounds just astronomical, but when you're bringing in, you know, multiple six figures, then it's fine to be spending that kind of money. And I've heard somebody once said to me that it should be 60% your expenses, which I feel good about not being 60%. I'm more like half. How about you, Maura? Any clinical tips that you want, not clinical, but practice building tips or pearls you want to give, or anything that you would have done differently that you want to discuss?
I think most of all, it's learning to know at first when you start the version 1, it's better than version none.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding you're not going to have it all figured out when you start, but go slow. Don't be afraid. I remember the amount of training we went through for us to start. Actually, we don't start because of fear we will not be able to support our client. What we need to understand, we know more than average medical practitioners out there. And what you can do to support people, you need to let the fear out and show up. I think it took me a little bit longer than I really wanted to. If I would do it now, I think I would go a little bit faster with more confidence about what I know, that I really could help more people. But I think this is one of the things that stepped us. And another thing that I could have done differently, it's putting myself more out there, telling people what I do. You know, we have a fear to tell people what we do, because one of the things I realized, Jody, it's the lack of having everything together first. We don't know what supplement we're going to recommend. We don't know what lab we're going to recommend. We don't know which company. As I see somebody posted that, ask question to your group when you are in the huddle groups, and ask them, how do you affiliate with this? How do you get this? Set yourself up, because I know this brought so much confidence. I had all my association under control, and I still was fearful to do it. And I was paying monthly for these group, for this association, you know, paying for Avexa, paying for all of those, to be a member of those group, those labs. However, when you get those done, you have another layer of confidence. You have at least where. And the good thing is that if you don't know that, they send you all those kits, what you have to do for your patient for free. And then you have to just apply it. So I think a lot of the things that I would do different, it's those two. It's going out there a little bit less fearful, and knowing that I got this. And the mindset also knowing I don't have to have it all together to show up for my patient until like I got it perfect. The version perfect doesn't exist. Perfection is a disease. So don't think you're leaving any school, you're gonna be perfect. But if you're not having everything together yet, plan it and just put a plan in action, and ask. Another great pearl, call one of those functional medicine practitioner from ACFM, do a consult with them. You can pay a fee, and then guess what? They can give you their journey of 5 years, 10 years in a 2-3 session. That's worth it. The consultation, bring me like right there. Like, what do you do? They will just generously because they want you to be successful.
Yeah, actually, I'm one of the teaching consultants for SAFM as well, and you can book a 50-minute session one-on-one to go through like, oh my gosh, I'm so confused on this patient. What should I do? And it's a very nominal fee to do that, and it's so worth it. I have some people that meet with me every week to go through all their patient cases, and it's a really great service as part of it to get. And there's a naturopathic doctor on staff, there's a hormone expert, there's an MD. So you can just meet with them, and they're all AFMC certified, which is the SAFM certification. But I'm really glad you brought up start using it now. So many of you are waiting on the sidelines. You can help so many people. There's too many people out there that need you. And you're always going to have imposter syndrome. I just, you're just, sometimes you just like, I get a new client and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this person has 6 autoimmune diseases and this and this and this. And you get a little intimidated at first, but you're like, you got this. And before you know it, even if you can get them 50% better, they are so grateful. And hopefully you can get them 100% better. But there's so much you can do to help them, and get over yourself because too many people need it. So that's a big pearl that I have. Somebody had asked, are we virtual? Who's in person? I started out in person, but my clients started coming to me from further and further away via word of mouth. So I started doing things over the phone before Zoom came around. And then when Zoom came around, I switched to Zoom. I was almost entirely virtual before the pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit, I just went 100% virtual. And that's what I'm doing now. Lisa, you do both, right?
Yeah, but mostly virtual now too. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Maura?
I do both. I have patients even right now in Australia. I have patients in Miami, in New York. Somebody will just look at my website. I have a website, but not a lot's going on in it. But it's just the word of mouth and people that know you. And I do see a question there. I say to people, I'm a functional medicine practitioner. And I said also, I'm known as the integrative wellness whisperer. And the way I explain it, it's just, I help you reverse disease. Make it very less complicated. A lot of people don't even know what is integrative medicine. A lot of people don't know what functional medicine. You want to give them, you know what? I help people reverse the diseases, move from a state to the next. And the less complicated you made it, you might feel you're talking to Jody, you're talking to Lisa. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and it's like a naturopath doctor. No. Tell them what you do. Tell them, give them a little story of what you have achieved. And
I love that.
There,
yeah. And that she's referring to Julie's question about how do you explain what you do? Because so many people don't know what functional medicine is.
Yes.
So I love that you say, I help people overcome diseases, or I help people reverse diseases. And I that's pretty much what I say is I help people reverse diseases without using drugs. And they're like, are you a homeopath? I'm like, no, not exactly. It's similar, but it's different. It's very evidence-based. I tell them my teacher has 3 degrees from MIT and all kinds of, kind of based on current research and evidence-based. So that helps. Lisa, do you have an elevator pitch that you tell people?
I wrote several in the chat, and it really depends on who I'm talking to and what, but it's what's it for them? I help people have more energy and less stress, so they can look and feel their best. I mean, that's I help you live. One of my programs is living younger longer. So I help you find natural ways to heal and live younger longer.
Yeah. And Abby's asking about virtual out of state. So Abby, if you're operating under your license, you can only work in the states in which you're licensed. But if you're doing this more as a health coach, health consultant, you don't need to have a separate certification for that right now. Anyone could call themselves a health consultant or health coach. And you could still do that, but just check with the laws in your state. I know there's an attorney that came into our group. If you want to search Scott Radigan, I know he's against doing this and not working out of your license, but then I've had other experts in the group that have consulted legal and said that it's fine to do it as long as in your contract it says you're working as a health consultant. But if you're more comfortable working in your state, just in your state, there's plenty of people in your state that need help. So, even if I had to stay within my state, I think I could do pretty well. But it's funny, one of my pearls is to post about your success stories and put them on your website. And I've done that, and I'm almost afraid to post or send out a newsletter because I'll have 10 more people that want to work with me with that disease. I recently posted the progress of one of my Parkinson's disease clients. And within 6 months, he is so much better. He went from stage 5 Parkinson's disease, where he was falling down, freezing up, shaking like crazy. He didn't do any medication, but we were able to reverse it. Excuse me. I'm getting over COVID, so you have to forgive me here. But he's now like a new person. He can go to the grocery store by himself. He can take a shower without supervision. He can, like, he's improving so much. And I posted about his progress with his permission. And I had like all these people with Parkinson's wanting to work with me now. So that's a really great thing. So success breeds success. As you get more success, you'll see more and more. It looks like, Lisa, your suggestions are going to host some panelists, not to everyone. So I don't know if you want to copy those and put those in. Yeah. But she basically said what she was going to say. For those of you joining us on Facebook, she basically told us what was in there. Okay, so I want to move on and just talk about maybe a success story. While she's doing that, I'll have Moira start. What is one of your success stories? Maybe where you're a mental health professional. Do you have anything in the way, or anything you want to talk about? But I don't know if you have like an ADHD or a depression, anxiety, or anything, any kind of success story you want to discuss there?
I spoke about that in my TED Talk, because my TED Talk is actually the disease illusion. And the reason I spoke about this is one patient, 73 years old, came to me taking about 7 medications 3 times a day. He had diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety. He was taking Ativan like 6 times a day. He was completely
just
desperate,
not able to function, right?
Yes, losing 5 to 10 pounds every 2-3 weeks. And his wife was desperate. So they came to me just because they wanted something, because, the doctor sent him home, by the way, ate macaroni and cheese, because the doctor said, at that point, there's nothing we can do. Eat whatever you want, because we at the end. He came because he thought maybe somebody referred it to me, not the end. And at that point, within 6 months, working with this gentleman, changing his regimen and support him with the diabetes. First, he was from the 6th time with his Ativan starting decrease within 3 weeks, 2-3 times a day. Progressively, all his blood panel regulated. Within 3 months, he was doing so much better. He went back to his doctor, didn't understand. His vitamin D was bottom low. All his blood sugar was 115. And we just changed his pattern, changed his regimen, changed his diet, get him the nutrition that his body needed. Within 6 months, I tell you, this man, every time he sees me, by the way, now he said, Moira, how you doing? You saved my life. And I'm like, no, you saved your life. Continue. And he has never seen me again, by the way, because I don't need him to continue to see me. I need him to feel good. I need him to feel better. So this is one of the most successful stories. I have so many, because all my patients reverse their diabetes within 3 to 4 months. Hypertension, they just reverse their diseases. They feel better. Gut inflammation, hormone imbalances, you name it. My family, some people with arthritis, RA, long-term, not able to function. There's so many stories I can share with you, but I'm staying with this one because a lot of the time when you after your 60s, 70s, they think you really need to, you deserve to be in a nursing home and take your pills for the rest of your life. And it's not the case. There is things you can do for your patient, for your client, as a coach, I am a functional medicine practitioner, but also I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I don't practice out of state mental health counseling. However, in my state, I practice mental health counseling, and out of state, I'm a functional medicine coach, and I'm also a life coach. So I'm practicing within my boundaries, and I'm doing what I need to do for my people that come to me, and I'm proud of it. And every day I feel blessed, and I'm in gratitude that God grants me that favor to be able to reverse diseases, not only for me, but now to inspire, empower individual to do the same.
I'm getting choked up listening to you. Amazing. I love that. And I just love how, some of you might be joining us from more of a Western medicine world and not just wondering, like, how is she specializing in all these different areas, hormones, mental health, pain, this and that, anxiety. It's like, well, that's it. It doesn't matter what the person has. It's the causes and symptoms you're looking at in functional medicine. That's why, even though it's a good idea to pick a niche, you'll be able to do just about anything. And that's an amazing skill set to have. It almost feels like a superpower. And I remember I had a mom come up to me and say to me, "Give me a stack of your business cards." I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "You changed my daughter's life." She said she was so anxious her entire life and always saying to me, "Mommy, am I always going to feel this way?" And when she came to me, she was in her early 20s and amenorrheic and just like not functioning because she was such anxiety and depression. And we were able to turn all of it around. She has a regular period now. She's no longer anxious or depressed. And every time I see the mom, she just tells me how much her daughter's thriving. And I mean, there's just so many stories like this. It's, it could be a TED talk for each one. It's crazy. But somebody in the chat is asking about cancer specifically. Nisha wants to know, you have an oncology background, Lisa. She's wondering about focusing on oncology patients. And I know you have a big success story with oncology in your own family, don't you?
Well, yeah, what started my journey was with my daughter. We went to an integrative program, and that opened my eyes. I had left healthcare. I had seen the revolving doors. I let my license expire. I thought, why do I want to go back to this? And not only did she get initially a clean PET scan, but my autoimmune disease started to go in remission within, really 3 to 9 months. And that's when I started going back to school and studying like crazy. And she has been, and then she had a relapse because she went back to her husband in Detroit, and woohoo, cancer free. I'm going to have my pizza and beer and renovate a very toxic loft with, building and lymphoma. Came back. I wrote a book and story about this. And we went to 5 different oncologists, MD Anderson, Johns Hopkins, back to Arizona, because her oncologist told her, had we not done this crazy thing, he would have had a 90% chance of curing her. Now she has a 10% chance of survival. Talk about feeling like you got a knife in your gut. And we went and got really actually a total of 6 different opinions, and they were all different, which opens a door. This is an art and a science. So I have people sign a contract with me. I do not diagnose, treat, or cure anyone. I am operating as a health coach and with functional medicine training. And I do partner and collaborate with the physicians when they're open and willing to do it, and with actually different programs around the world I've helped support people with. So yes, it can be feel overwhelming when you've got, my eye doctor. So my eyes improved so much, I got rid of my bifocals that I'd worn for a couple of decades. I'm going to be 64 this year. So
it's amazing.
And no glasses. And it's been over a decade of no glasses. So when my eye doctor was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, he came to me. Not everybody lives. he has passed. And but I will tell you, his quality of life and what we were able to do to support him means a lot. And he chose, I never tell people what to do. He chose to go down all the conventional route, and we were just trying to minimize it. And he had more energy playing golf with his buddies with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And he would comment on me, hey, I'm doing better than they are. And, right. And he worked until really about a week before he passed. So I had another patient when I was in the oncology group who had the surgery, but didn't want to do chemo and radiation. She was 84. Not only did all her cancer markers stay low and stable 2 years later, and I've lost track of her since then, but her eyesight improved. Her cardiologist said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep on doing it. I don't need to see you for a year. And she kept her cancer in remission. So I think you have to be clear that we can always offer help and support, no matter where they are on the continuum. And it's tough for me. I still haven't put a stake in the ground that I'm the cancer coach, even though I see a lot, because I don't want my whole practice to be that way. But I do really enjoy working with them because they are highly motivated, and we really get down to what's important in your life. And I always say, none of us are getting out of this alive. So how do we make today count? That's why I called my business Carpe Diem, seize the day wellness. It's, what we do today really does matter and will affect you in the future. But when I started this business, I wanted to help my family, my friends, and I wanted to help heal healers. And that's what I love about SAFM, because they have such a mission to help the healers. And I thought, these are the 3 toughest people to ever use as an avatar, because your friends don't see you as having, they see you as Lisa. They don't see you as having studied this now, that I could have my PhD and how much studying I've done in this. And my mother was so resistant. She has 3, really she has 5 autoimmune diseases, but 3 that have been diagnosed. She's had a heart attack, she's had a stroke. When COVID came at 88, she was 5'1" and 225 pounds, obese, depressed, could barely walk. Within 4 months, we got her off of, and she had 10 medications. We got her off of 4 of her medications, and she had released, in about 6 months, we released 65 pounds.
Wow.
Now she's 91.
Mm-hmm.
She's off of 8 of her 10 medications. So we released the need of that. And she goes to the gym every day. And so I always say, you're never too old and you're never too sick to make a difference, to feel a little better. So, my mother's not going to live forever, but the fact that I think that's when I know I've made it. That when your family and your friends now see you as having something valuable to offer them, that to me is very, very gratifying.
That's great. I have my brother-in-law was actually president of Pfizer for many years. So I come from a very Western family, and I think they also have a fair amount of respect for what I do, where at first it was sort of like, whoa, that's really out there. So it's nice to have them come to me for advice for things as well. But that's amazing. What an amazing story, Lisa. I love that, that your mom's off all those medications. And it's so great to be able to guide people and have them come to you on a dozen medications when you start. And by the time they're done with you, they're down to almost none. And it's not that we're anti-medication. Of course, medications can be a blessing and stabilization. They can be life-saving. They can save body parts. But we all know that long-term use of this polypharmacy model is the patients are not getting better necessarily, or living a better quality of life because of them. So you have to be really judicious with it. And there's a whole course on deprescribing at SAFM. I love that, a bonus course. And somebody else was asking specifically about cancer also, is that hard to do? And there isn't a cancer course within SAFM as an elective course that you can take, and it's phenomenal. I love it. Having a huge history of cancer in my family, it's just so amazing to know what to do to prevent that for me, because every woman in my family unfortunately gets cancer. So I'm doing everything I can to prevent it, which is great. I know that we only have a few more minutes, and we're so many questions. People are asking about protocols, and I think we mentioned that there really is no protocol. Each person is N is one, but when you do have something like acid reflux or something like that, that you can do a group program on, that's something that's easy, that is kind of a protocol within, and there's always going to be outliers. So you have to know what to do when something doesn't work for somebody necessarily, but there's certain things that we definitely have protocols for. But if you want to learn the protocols, I really recommend, it's not like a broken record, but SAFM, the last day to apply is September 6th. For those of you who are interested, it is akin to a master's level degree. You get a certification and you get put in the directory, so people can find you in the directory. I've gotten several clients from people looking up for practitioners in their state that are certified. So it comes up in Google searches. So that's a great way. That alone has paid for my schooling. They encourage you to start using what you're learning right away. So even within my first semester, I was able to quit my job and start doing this work really full time. I wanted to do it part time, but people kept coming to me. And I was like, before I knew it, I had a full practice. And before I graduated, I had a full practice, which is amazing. So you don't have to wait to use it all. It is, it's all online, 100%. Melinda's asking. We'll put the link in the comments here and in the chat and on Facebook in the groups if you'd like. Please tell them that Jody sent you. Jody, Lisa, and Moira sent you. I could tell you that there's 2 semesters and there's a clinical skills intersemester, but you're going to learn all about lab work, how to interpret it. And this is one thing that a lot of functional medicine schools don't teach, is how to interpret everyday annual physical lab work from a functional perspective. So you don't need to have a binder full of lab work and have people spend $2,500 on labs. That's lazy, honestly. You can glean so much from their everyday annual physical lab work. It save them a ton of money and get them better. There may be a follow-on lab or two, but learn the everyday annual physical lab work. You and I can, those who are conventional can look at labs and say, oh, looks good, because everything's in reference range. I can look at the exact same labs and say, oh my gosh, this person's got hepatic biliary congestion. They're low in vitamin B12. I can tell so much information. Their thyroid's off. Just from that information, that I can help them and I know which direction to go. So that's a big part of it. You're going to learn supplements and nutrients, not just, this supplement, but brand names and dosages and what works and what's contraindicated. Very deep dive into supplements, very deep dive into figuring out how to help each person, the whole disease structure. And then you get classes like detox pathways, detoxification, the HPA-TG access, all these other classes. I could go on and on about them, but they're all included in the course. And somebody's asking the price. I think it's under $600 a month. And I will tell you now, I know Moira and I and Lisa's charging a lot for her packages. I mean, if you could sell one $10,000 package or $12,000 package, it'll pay for the whole school. And I'm selling packages in that range now. They start lower, but I do sell high-end packages as well. And it's great because if you can take on fewer patients and really focus on those people to help them get better. And then you could do groups to bring in more people that need your help as well. Am I forgetting anything? I'd like to know for Lisa and Moira, what was your favorite thing about SAFM? I forgot to mention the puzzle piecing cases, but you guys say what your favorite is. Lisa, go. Or she's thinking. Okay, Moira, you go first. What's your favorite thing about the school?
I love a lot the hurdle group. We have every semester assigned a group where you go and discuss the different challenges. That for me was, and I built some great friendship as well from there because of every semester, it's become like your family. Wow, the clinical pearl, it's like you get it from heaven. Oh my God, this is it. And then you go in the back when you affiliate to the page, you can do consultation on your own, and then you go to that resource and find ways to compare and contrast what you're doing. Are you on the right track? You can ask questions. This is very few school you can directly interact with the director of the program. That doesn't happen very often. And is the teacher with 3 degrees from MIT. She knows her stuff. So I love the whole thing, the whole package. I love the school. I love my colleague, the people I interact with, and everything gives me the confidence about the ACFM. I can tell you, no one need to pay me to do propaganda, because I feel doing propaganda for ACFM is doing propaganda for health and wellness, because that gives nurse, doctors, counselors, anyone that want to go to the realm of true healing, what they need to function and to truly help from the interconnectedness of the body, mind, body, and spirit.
That's awesome. I love that. And, you know, so you meet in these small group, they call them tribe masterminds. Lisa leads one of them, actually. She works very part-time for the school, but you can go in and you get kind of a mentorship there, and it makes it so the school doesn't feel so big. It feels like you get to know your classmates, and you get to bounce things off your leader and off your classmates of like practice building things, and a client case you're working on or patient case you're working on. So these are great. I also didn't mention the clinical treasure chest. And I just want to say, it's a database where you can type in, like, let's say Parkinson's disease. And instead of spending hours researching on what to do for Parkinson's, it's all on a page, and it tells you all the considerations. It's questions that students have asked in the past about Parkinson's, and you can get answers of what to do. So someone asked about protocols. These are non-negotiable supplements that people need for Parkinson's. And this is what you need to look for, and toxicity. And these are the tests you might want to consider running. So it's just so much easier and such a time saver just to have that. Another piece that I love, and I'll let Lisa answer in a sec, the puzzle piecing cases. This was like a light bulb moment for me. Tracy does an intake with an actual client of hers. So you get to listen to the recording. And I remember the first time I listened to one, I said, oh my gosh, I'm doing my intake all wrong. I'm asking you all the wrong questions. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. But then after you listen to that, she tells you what she did for that client. There's like a 2-hour webinar after on what she did for that client, what steps she took, what labs she did, what she saw, what supplements she recommends, what other interventions she recommended, how that person got better. And there's tons of these cases throughout your tenure at the school. So you get to learn like, oh, and you get to learn from her mistakes too. She said, looking back, I shouldn't have done this, so it's fascinating. And you just learn through like osmosis how to do this kind of work. And then the open coaching calls. That's one other thing I want to mention. This is where one of your classmates will present a case. And there's beginner ones when you first start, not beginner, but you're put in with the advanced level 2 and in others. So you get like easier ones and harder ones right when you start. And they'll present the patient case that they're working on. And then you get to like try to figure out what to do. And then Tracy will give her input on what she thinks is going on, what point of interconnectedness she sees, what steps you should take next with this patient. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so great. I continue to learn with this. It's just like every single case is like a new learning opportunity. And you get dozens of these case studies throughout your tenure at the school. But Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to add in terms of your favorite aspect of the school?
Yeah, I was going to say the community and the connection for sure. But personally, I don't love going down the rabbit hole in doing research. And what I do love is, and I'm never going to be Tracy with 3 degrees from MIT, so that she has done it for us. And I can give you one example. Early on, I'm working for this oncology clinic. We get a new resident that comes in, and I ask her to test for vitamin D. and magnesium and zinc, I think. And she says, I don't trust or believe anything you're doing here. Why do we need to order any of this? So I turn bright red, I go back to my office, and then I just pull up the research and the links. And then I walk back in the office and I just slapped it down on it. But, it's easy for us to doubt ourselves. We're trailblazing none of us have all the answers. So to be able to have a resource where we can say, there is studies and data based on why optimal vitamin D may make a difference if you have cancer. and here it is. And I don't have to spend hours and hours doing that myself. She doesn't like cheat sheets, but she gives us where we can dive deeper ourselves.
That's a great point. I love that.
And references. Yeah. So we're not all alone. I think, back to my thing, that community that, we have, post grad now, we have our own little clinical collaboration groups that, you can form with former students to make sure we're all, a rising tide rises all boats, and we're all in this together, and we all have different skill sets. We all have different backgrounds. I want to say another pearl is to just be yourself, to be authentic. I think I struggled for a long time looking back. I didn't put myself out there like I could have, should have, would have, because I wasn't as smart as Tracy. And it was Jeff Glad at one of our retreats, Dr. Glad, who started Mitavin and works, I think, the medical director of Full Script and has a very busy practice. The first thing he said is, I will never know as much as Tracy Harrison. But that doesn't mean we can't help people now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so true. And, Julie's saying, and didn't mean this to be a complete SAFM ad, but she says SAFM offers way more than I thought I was getting. Actually, I didn't understand what an amazing program I was investing in. I could not be happier with my choice to join SAFM. I'm so proud of being an SAFM student and soon to be certified, the universe willing. Yay, congratulations. And then Dixie says a major paradigm shift from allopathic medicine. Yes. I think it's Melinda is asking, is there a business model and templates available? So first of all, there's tons and tons of resources, like even the intake form. I use Tracy's intake form and I've tweaked it a little bit for my own practice. There are a whole clinical skills intersemester where there's just tons and tons of information and resources for practice building in there, and how to organize your practice and things, whether you're in a managed care model and you want to use this in managed care, or if you want to do group programs within the managed care, or within an entrepreneurial practice, you want to do one-on-one or group programs. So you're going to learn all these things. Plus there's dozens and dozens of handouts and curated research links. So she'll go through hundreds of research articles and studies and pan through all of them, and she'll find the one or two that are the most poignant things that you really need to know. So you can, to Lisa's point, share it with colleagues and say, hey, this is the research and it's peer-reviewed studies. It looks like Denise, it gets cut off. As a nurse, not a nurse practitioner, are you able to do this with functional medicine? Well, guess what, Denise? Lisa is a nurse, not a nurse practitioner, and she is thriving doing this work. She has a crazy successful practice. She's down in Virginia, and you can, yes, you can do this work as a nurse. Lots of nurses doing this work. Do you want to speak to that, Lisa?
Yeah. Now, I did let my license lapse, and I've thought about reinstating it and the pros and cons around that. And I feel like I really haven't had a need to do that at this point. But the fact that I, worked for decades as a registered nurse I think it does give you some, not only some credibility for some who really are don't know the difference in functional medicine and conventional medicine, but it's helpful to have both. I had to unlearn what I learned as a nurse to do functional medicine. So I think it's a little harder when you are practitioners. We do have to.
Yeah, I want to mention one other thing about that is I have a lot of people that I talk to about SAFM and about different schools. And, if anyone wants to reach out to me personally, just PM me. I know a lot about all the different schools and different programs, being the admin for this group and the couple groups that I run on Facebook. And I will say that a lot of people ask me, don't I need to be a nurse practitioner? A lot of nurses will say I need to be an NP before I do this work. And I will tell you, I have so many NP friends that wish they hadn't done it. If you've done it, they'll never take it away from you. And it's wonderful that you have it and you have the ability to de-prescribe and prescribe. When somebody's ready to go off of medication, I send them back to the prescriber. That's not my domain, because I don't have that, the degree to do that. But I know several of my friends who have given up their NP to do this work because they don't want the shackles of Western medicine, in the sense that someone has high cholesterol, I have to write them a statin prescription. That's standard of care. Like, they feel like they're afraid to do certain things, and that's not a good place to work from. And it's interesting that I brought Moira and Lisa in, because we're not prescribers. And we're doing this work. I'd like to bring some prescribers in who are doing this work too. My friend Heather, I'm trying to get, her practice is so darn busy, I can't even get her to come in. But she has a crazy successful practice. She's a prescriber. It's an integrative practice. So she does Western and functional. And she turned to all cash pay, and she's just like, her practice is just crazy taken off. So you can do it as an NP, you can do it, but I'm just telling you, you don't have to. And so many NPs are like, I just spent $100,000 or more or less on this education, and I'm not even going to use it because I don't even believe in what it is. I mean, again, they love Western medicine for emergency care and stabilization and things like that, but they don't want to be prescribing like that. So many pharmacists are in the school. It sounds like so contraindicated for the pharmacist to be in there, but it really makes a lot of sense. And so many of us got into medicine in the first place because we want to help people. We want to get them better. And if you truly want to get them better, you got to do this work. My friend Janet says she's in Western medicine and she does functional medicine. She closes the office door and says, my first job is not to harm you. I can write you this prescription if you'd like, or I can show you ways to undo this by getting to the root causes and reversing it. What would you like to do? And people will tell her, oh my gosh, what's this? What do I do here? And her patient ratings are number one. She's like highest, her patient ratings went through the roof since she started incorporating functional medicine. She also went to SAFM and is incorporating into her practice. And people are like, what are you doing in there? And everybody's coming to her and getting truly better and getting off their medications. So you can do this work in any kind of model. But if you're looking to do it in an entrepreneurial model, it's a way to freedom. And I know, if I retire from this, I'm going to do this work 2 mornings a week or 2 days a week and continue to do it, but have some time off too. And I can do that now. It's such freedom from not having a brick and mortar for me. But even if you did have a brick and mortar, you could close it for a week and go, and you'll still make really, really good money. And I have so many friends doing this, making so much more than they did when they were in a managed care setting, an insurance model. But if you want to stay in the insurance model, you can definitely do this work. There's ways to do it. Some people are saying there's different comments here. Do either of you want to add anything while I read the?
Yeah, I was just going to say, there is a little bridge to cross, and especially if you are a NP or a medical doctor, you can always partner or hire a health coach where you can just help co-create the program and a group program. And you can get, if you're in insurance space, and I started to do this actually at the oncology clinic, we can now bill even Medicare. We can bill Medicare for the group programs. And so it just so happens that we have our own private practice that's self-pay, but that's not the only model. And SAFM does talk about that too. And we're all trailblazing. So I had a lot of several doctors in my networking group that, we would refer back and forth to, so that they could meet the needs of their patients and feel good about what they're practicing.
There's so many ways to do this work. I actually was just doing one-on-one and I had such a long wait list that I hired some SAFM grads, and now I do the first session, hand them off to one of the practitioners. I know they're in good hands. We meet every once in a while to just, make sure we're on the same page, or, collaborate on some cases and things like that. And it's really fun to do that too. It's hard to find SAFM grads who aren't already too busy. One last question here. Someone is concerned about laws as nurses can't prescribe if you're recommending supplements. Okay, let's talk about supplements. You are not prescribing when it comes to supplements. Prescriptions are medications. Supplements, people can go into Walmart and Costco and buy crap supplements any day, right? It's like a nutritional supplement is what it is. It's nutrition, it's food, kind of food-based stuff. So if you're concerned about that, you can recommend things in a way that you are educating people. So you could say, hey, Mary, we talked about how you have hypertension and your A1C is creeping up, and you've got some constipation, you've got some muscle aches and some acid reflux. And these are all signs of a deficiency or an insufficiency of a mineral called magnesium. And what I'd like to recommend is a couple things. You can take or not recommend it. You could just say people who take 150 milligrams of magnesium twice a day get so much relief from that. Or they could take an Epsom salts bath, and the Mary will say, oh, wow, I want to try that magnesium. It's like, well, that's a great decision you've made, right? She's made the decision. You're educating her. It's not illegal anywhere, at least in the free world, to educate people. And that's what you're doing. So you can frame it in the way of education if you're more comfortable with that than saying, Mary, you really need to take some magnesium. And you want to educate them anyway, and that they're much more likely to comply with what you're doing if they understand the why. And I'm big on education. I know Lisa and Moira are as well. We explain to people why we are making the recommendations we're making so they comply. And that's why we get such great results. And they go through all that with that SAFM as well. Thank you all so much for joining us. Lisa, Moira, you two are amazing. I love having you on today. If any of you have any questions in the group that you're in, you can put the questions below. I'll try to get around and answer some of them. And if any of you have anyone with cancer, any mental health issues, if you want to reach out to Lisa, Moira is actually doesn't look like it from her background, but she's in Nantucket, Massachusetts, as I'm also in Massachusetts. So you can reach out to us as well if you need any help. But anyway, thank you all. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.